אמר לנה, אין אנט משיח, בר הלך החי.
All the translations here, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. Again, if you go to the Greek, you will see ego eimi. This is again, okay, a reference to Exodus 3:14, okay? I am that I am, okay? I am has sent you. If you go to the Aramaic, again, look what it says. Aramaic, in the plain English, Yeshua said to them, timeless truth I speak to you. Before Abraham would exist, I am the living God. So when you cross-reference this, Mark 13, okay, with Mark 13, where Jesus specifically tells his disciples not to be deceived by any man, because many will say, I am the living God, and this is literally harking back to Exodus 3:14. Literally, he's saying, many will come and say, I am, God, I'm Yahweh, I'm the living God in the last days. This is exactly what we find in John chapter 8, verse 58. I am the living God. Before Abraham would exist, I am the living God. These are the most important passages where Jesus literally says, I am the living God. But there are other passages as well where Jesus literally says, I am the living God. This is so literal. And it says here, and Yeshua said to him, I am the living God. Okay, this is when the high priest asked him. The high priest asked him and said, this was during his trial at the Sanhedrin, are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One? But Yeshua said to him, I am the living God, and you shall behold the Son of Man. This is in reference to his outward appearance, his physical shell, okay, his physical body, sitting at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven. This is a reference to chapters that we find in the book of Nahum. We also find this in Isaiah. We find this in other passages where God literally is walking on clouds. He's literally a cloud rider. So this is so clear. Jesus is literally claiming he's God. Okay, and right after he claims this, the high priest, he knows what Jesus is claiming.
Well, according to Zechariah, the Messiah is going to return to the Mount of Olives. The Mount of Olives is going to cleave in half. Half is going to go toward the north, half toward the south. And the Jews as well believe this is where the resurrection is going to take place.
But of course the Jews believe that the Messiah can't come until the temple is rebuilt. So if it could be shown that the temple never stood where the Dome of the Rock now stands, but stood somewhere else, then that would solve the problem.
It would, Chris, because that temple right there, the Dome of the Rock, is the most contested piece of real estate in the entire world. It could be a trigger for World War III. And if it could be proved, and not only proved, but accepted, that that temple stood on the offal south of Fort Antonia, it could bring about some type of a peace covenant.
What do you mean by a peace covenant?
The Jewish prophet Daniel, in Daniel chapter 9, prophesied that there would be a world leader that would arise and would confirm some type of a coveted that would bring some measure of tranquility to the Middle East. Even now, as wars are raging in Yemen, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia is involved, this would bring about some measure of peace to this situation. And it would then also allow the Jews to rebuild their temple and begin their animal sacrifice once again.
Now, I want to underline that the rebuilding of the Jewish temple is a very important milestone in the sequence of end-time events. And there can be many interpretations of Bible prophecy, who the Antichrist is, when he's going to come, even whether we're living in the end times at all. But when the Jewish temple is rebuilt, then we know for sure that we're in the last 7 years. And we lock in to a very definite sequence of events as foretold in the books of Daniel, Revelation, and many other prophetic passages in the Bible.
Yes, the temple's very significant in end-time Bible prophecy. It's where the Antichrist finally declares that he is God, tries to bring about the end of the worship of the true God. It's also where he places what is known as the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet and quoted by Jesus in Matthew 24.
This abomination of desolation, or the image of the beast, as John calls him in the book of Revelation, do we know what it is, or what it's likely to be?
Well, there are those who have speculated, and rightly so, that it could be some type of supercomputer combined with what the transhumanists are now pushing forward, as well as changes in the genome system. Science is putting it all together. Never before in world history that we know of has it been possible to track every man, woman, and child. But the Bible does talk in Revelation 13 about the mark of the beast, the famous 666. And somehow this abomination of desolation, it is what is going to be able to put that into practice and try and force people and cause people to take the mark of the beast, that no man may be able to buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. It all comes down to economics, Chris. If you don't have it, you can't buy and you can't sell.
But none of this can happen until the third Jewish temple is built. This is an artist's conception of how the temple would look built on the Haram al-Sharif. Already, the Jewish Sanhedrin has appointed the high priest, and everything has been prepared for the ritual of daily sacrifice to resume after almost 2,000 years.
Jerusalem! The faithful city! She that was full of justice has become a harlot!
The Lord sent a word into Jacob, and it hath lighted upon Israel. And all the people shall know, even Ephraim, and the inhabitant of Samaria, that say in the pride and stoutness of heart, the bricks are fallen down, but we will build with hewn stones. The sycamores are cut down, but we will change them into cedars. Therefore the Lord shall set up the adversaries of Rezin against him, and join his enemies together, the Syrians before, and the Philistines behind, and they shall devour Israel with open mouth. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. But the people turneth not unto him that smiteth them, neither do they seek the Lord of hosts. Therefore the Lord will cut off from Israel head and tail, branch and rush in one day. The ancient and honorable, he is the head, and the prophet that teacheth lies, he is the tail. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. Therefore the Lord shall have no joy in their young men, neither shall have mercy on their fatherless and widows. For every one is an hypocrite, and an evildoer, and every mouth speaketh folly. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. For wickedness burneth as the fire. It shall devour the briars and thorns, and shall kindle in the thickets of the forest, and they shall mount up like the lifting up of smoke. Through the wrath of the Lord of hosts is the land darkened, and the people shall be as the fuel of the fire. No man shall spare his brother. Mark 13. And as he went out of the temple, one of his disciples saith unto him, Master, See what manner of stones and what buildings are here? And Jesus answering said unto him, Seest thou these great buildings? There shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives over against the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew asked him privately, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled? And Jesus answering them began to say, Take heed, lest any man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows. But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils.
Many world leaders have called for the acknowledgement and observance of the 7 Noahide laws, including the President of the European Union in July 2014 and the Australian Governor-General Michael Jeffrey in 2008. And this will be international law. So what's the problem? Well, just for starters, the law against idol worship will include, quite specifically, the worship of Jesus Christ as the Son of God, which the Noahide laws will classify as blasphemy, and the punishment for transgressing the 7 Noahide laws, and for blaspheming the ineffable name of God by calling Jesus God, and for blaspheming the ineffable name of God by calling Jesus God, is decapitation. I'll let you take that in for a second. This will be governed by a world court, with no possibility of appeals. Something like this, an international Sanhedrin. Who do you think is truly behind these laws? Well, I can show you that right now. Here is the bill being signed into law by H.W. Bush, and here is their signature hidden in plain sight, the hidden hand of Freemasonry, displayed by this sinister and gloating looking individual. And you know what Freemasonry is a cover for now. And you know what Freemasonry is a cover for now.
מדובר על סנהדרין. מדובר לכאורה על משפט. זה באמת זה לעשות, אמרנו בתוך עם ישראל. אבל מה מעמדה של הסנהדרין בקשר לעמי העולם? נגיד שיבואו פה, ישפטו, יחליטו שמגיע עונש כזה. אבל אצל גויים שהם אינם שומרים שבע מצוות, לא תרצח ולא לא תגזול ולא זה, קוראים להם לשלום. הכוונה, אתם מקבלים שבע מצוות? אז אנחנו עוזבים אתכם בחיים. אם לא, וצרת עליה ואתה הורג את כל זכורה לפי חרב, רק את הנשים אתה משאיר. ואיך אתה משאיר אותם? הם כולם צריכים לקבל על עצמם את השבע מצוות, ואז אתה משליט את שבע המצוות באותה עיר. וכל כרגע שאלו, אנחנו אין לנו כוח להילחם, אבל אנחנו... מי אמר לכם שכוח הוא? הקדוש ברוך הוא נותן לך כוח לעשות חיים, ולכן הוא זה שציווה ללכת מעיר לעיר, לכבוש אותה, ולהשליט את שבע המצוות בעולם. זה תפקידו של מלך המשיח בן השאר, לא בא רק כמשיח, אלא הוא בא לקיים את המצוות הללו. הוא יכבוש עיר אחת, שם שומרים של המצוות. יכבוש את עיראק, את טורקיה, יגיע גם איראן, ישליט בכל המקומות האלה של המצוות למנוע. אבל ישליט זה לא במשפטים, אלא במלחמה. במלחמה צריכה להיות לא דווקא להרוג, להפך, הוא אומר להם, אני קורא לכם לשלום. אז אם מרים את הדגל, אומרים, מעכשיו אין נצרות, אין אסלאם, המסגדים והצריכים של הנוצרים, הצדדים יורדים, מעכשיו בשומרים של המצוות נאמנות. זה תפקידו של מלך המשיח, להביא את העולם כולו במציאות של המצוות. שצריך ללכת לפי הרמות, ואנחנו לא יכולים להמציא הלכות שאינם, לא יכולים להמציא הלכות שאינם. אולי הדברים האלה לא כל כך נעימים לאוזן, אבל...
But when they shall lead you and deliver you up, take no thought beforehand what ye shall speak, neither do ye premeditate. But whatsoever shall be given you in that hour, that speak ye. For it is not ye that speak, but the Holy Ghost. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, and children shall rise up against their parents, and shall cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand. Then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains, and let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein to take anything out of his house. And let him that is in the field not turn back again for to take up his garment. But woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. And pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, for in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of the creation which God created unto this time, neither shall be. And except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. And then if any man shall say to you, Lo, here is Christ, or Lo, he is there, believe him not. For false Christs and false prophets shall rise, and shall show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. But take ye heed, behold, I have foretold you all things. But in those days after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven.
will happen in the end of days. The mountain of the temple of Hashem will be firmly established as the head of the mountains, and it will be exalted above the hills, and all the nations will stream to it.
You can call me an egomaniac, megalomania, or whatever you wish with a messianic complex. I don't have any complex, honey. I happen to know I'm the Messiah. It's only a complex when you're confused. It's only a complex when you have some kind of neurotic compulsions and some kind of subliminal pressures. Honey, I don't have any conflict about it whatsoever. I'm not in conflict at all. I know as much as the light is showing up there through 4 squares that I am God, the Messiah. Because I have a picture of you in my mind, and my mind's just not like any mind you ever seen. And so I'm going to out-picture on you, and when I out-picture on you and reverse the energy, you're in trouble, brother. I'm going to let you take your tape because I want them to hear it. I want you to take it to your investigating laboratory, and I want those to listen, and I want them to hear the ring of sincerity in my voice. I want them to know what I'm saying. I am God. I'm the only God there is.
As Terry Wogan said to you on the Wogan Show, you claim to be the Son of God, and you said yes.
Well, I am, yes, I'm saying that. But what I'm saying is we're all the children of God. But some people come to earth, Jesus was one, there were many more before him, who are actually part of the soul of the Godhead. It's God incarnate on earth. That's what Jesus was, that's what these other people were before.
Welcome to the real world. You ready? This is from a legislation archive from the Georgia House of Representatives in the 1995-96 sessions. This is Bill HB 1274 on the death penalty, guillotine provisions. How far along are we into enacting these bills worldwide? I don't know. Maybe they've been enacted already. But I just wanted to show you that in 1995 the ball was already rolling. Another ball that's rolling are the 7 universal Noahide laws. They sound great from the outside, designed so to conceal some terrifying details on the inside. Firstly, they were signed into US law in 1991 by George H.W. Bush on March 26. Here's the bill and resolution. It was named Education Day. As you can see in the details of Resolution HJ 104, they are the 7 Noahide laws, resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in 1996. Every single president since H.W. Bush has annually re-signed this resolution. Many world leaders have called for the acknowledgement and observance of the 7 Noahide laws, including the President of the European Union in July 2014 and the Australian Governor-General Michael Jeffrey in 2008. And this will be international law. So what's the problem? Well, just for starters, the law against idol worship will include quite specifically the worship of Jesus Christ as the Son of God, which the Noahide laws will classify as blasphemy, and the punishment for transgressing the 7 Noahide laws and for blaspheming the ineffable name of God by calling Jesus God is decapitation.
It is not yet, and these things must come to pass. Then the Antichrist comes. That's the guideline we have in the New Testament. Wars, rumors of wars, Antichrist. What we're hearing here from the law and the tradition of the Jewish people, according to the Talmud, it's wars and rumors of wars, then Messiah. Which leads to what may be the most interesting part of this video, which is the prominent rabbi who has been rising up in Israel over the past few years, Rabbi Rav Shlomo Yehuda. And this rabbi has been gaining a lot of prominence the past few years. He's actually considered the Yanuka, which is a person who rises up very rarely within generations. They say that's how rare it is, that some will rise up once every generation, and is somebody who knows the Torah and understands the Torah way beyond what anyone else says. There's stories of him just sitting at the Western Wall, speaking of the Torah. They say he's melting into himself and just speaking the Torah so well that these people are just awestruck at his teaching and what he's saying. Now, I'm not going to claim that this guy is the Antichrist or the false prophet, but as people rise up in prominence in these different religions all around the world, even in America, if a so-called Christian were to rise up and was not living according to the Bible and looked as if he would potentially fulfill the prophecies of the Antichrist or the false prophet, I would make a video on him as well. So I'm not saying that this is what this guy is, but when people rise to prominence and they could potentially lead to fulfill these prophecies, then they're just looked at and evaluated. And what's strange about this guy, first off, the fact that he's the Yanuka and he has this profound level of understanding of the Torah, as well as there's a video from 2021 at the Western Wall. First off, as he's walking up to the Western Wall, he's being completely crowded and surrounded and really crushed by the public trying to get close to him. Pretty strange just seeing the public in awe of such a figure as him for just being a rabbi, and he's so young, and that's part of the thing of the Yanuka, that he takes up to the Torah so young. And there's a picture of him here at the Western Wall in the little section where normally it's made for very high up rabbis who are normally very old, who have been within the rabbinical order for a long time, and they have this prominence. And then here they let this Rav Shlomo Yehuda guy in, and here they let him into this section of the Western Wall where normally they only allow very prominent rabbis in. And as you can see, all these people around watching him at the Western Wall, praying at the Western Wall, and you can even see, I'll put up on the screen, rabbis coming and kissing his hand, these more prominent rabbis, these older rabbis, showing their respect to him. So just strange seeing such a young figure rise up to the level this man is. And then a more recent, just as of yesterday, October 19th, 2022, one of the most prominent rabbis from New York goes and visits Israel to go and visit the Yanuka. For what reason? Giving him his blessing? I mean, the Israeli people are expecting a Messiah. They're expecting this person to come, this person to save them, and this person will take the world by storm. And when the Jewish Messiah comes, he will fulfill everything the Jewish people are looking for. When the Islamic Messiah comes, the El-Mahdi, he will fulfill everything the Islamic people are looking for. So it's just very interesting to see when we actually have a Jewish figure, a prominent figure within the Jewish community, rising up, fulfilling this potential messianic expectation that the Jewish people are looking for. To bring it all to a conclusion, we just always need to look back to the biblical text. The Antichrist and the false prophet will, of course, need to fulfill the biblical prophecies of what we know they will do in the end. False signs and wonders will follow them. They will create a peace treaty that will eventually be broken. The Antichrist will push the mark of the beast, which will be the number of his name, which will equate 666. Clearly, it will not be some hidden coded thing. It will be clear as day. People will have to make this choice very willingly. It will not just be some hidden thing like someone accidentally took the mark. So the Antichrist will push the mark of the beast, and both the Antichrist and the false prophet will be in complete opposition of Christianity and believing that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. Now, those qualities will probably not all appear at once, so that's why it's good to just keep an eye out when people are rising to prominence. But these are factors that we always have to look back on to be completely sure who the Antichrist or the false prophet is when they come on the scene. Has to be backed up by the Bible. So again, I'm not saying this guy is the Antichrist or the false prophet, but we have to look at prominent figures when they rise up.
Men have so dastardly distorted what my spirit is that it was necessary for me to come upon the scene, and I have. I shall show you from time to time proofs of that, so that you will have no further need of religion, because the highest authority tells you that you have no further need of it. I've come doing all the things you ever imagined God to do, and have never seen done. You have never seen anyone resurrected before your eyes, and yet you have seen me do it repeatedly. You've never seen anyone shot down as I was before your eyes with the blood spurting from the body and healed themselves, yet I, the socialist worker, did that. It's beautiful to know God is a socialist worker. You can identify with that. God is a socialist worker. He is one of the people. He's an instrument of all that you have desired. All that freedom embraces, all that justice embodies, everything that sensitivity imbibes, that is what your God is. And I must say it is a great effort to be God. I wish it upon another, but no one else in the particular stratum of the class consciousness that we are evolving in has the faculty that I do. When they do, I'll be glad to hold their coat. In the meantime, I shall be God, and beside me there shall be no other.
Zechariah 12. The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens, and layeth the foundation of the earth, and formeth the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. In that day, saith the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. And I will open mine eyes upon the house of Judah, and will smite every horse of the people with blindness. And the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength in the Lord of hosts their God. In that day will I make the governors of Judah like an hearth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheath. And they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. And it shall come to pass in that day, that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications. And they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it, and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. The Lord sent a word into Jacob, and it hath lighted upon Israel. And all the people shall know, even Ephraim, and the inhabitant of Samaria, that say in the pride and stoutness of heart, the bricks are fallen down, but we will build with hewn stones. The sycamores are cut down, but we will change them into cedars. Therefore the Lord shall set up the adversaries of Rezin against him, and join his enemies together, the Syrians before, and the Philistines behind, and they shall devour Israel with open mouth. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. But the people turneth not unto him that smiteth them, neither do they seek the Lord of hosts. Therefore the Lord will cut off from Israel head and tail, branch and rush, in one day. The ancient and honorable, he is the head, and the prophet that teacheth lies, he is the tail. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. Therefore the Lord shall have no joy in their young men, neither shall have mercy on their fatherless and widows.